Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. Today we will be playing through the Queens and Tango puzzles for today, and then I'll be analyzing them a little bit afterwards so that I can learn from my mistakes and hopefully you can learn something from it as well. Obviously Tango is a new game on LinkedIn. It just got released 2 days ago now. So I'm still trying to figure out some of the best strategies for it. And we'll kind of figure it out together here. So let's get started right away with the queens. All right, 30 seconds, not bad. Um, Obviously, I did have a little bit of a slip up there with the bug that happened where it just started filling things in, but pulled it back at the end. Let's move on to Tango now, and then we'll analyze both afterwards. All right, on to today's Tango. This is the new game. Um, if you don't know the rules, I guess you'll kind of figure this one out. Um, yeah, let's just get right into it. There we go, 40 seconds. That is my fastest time so far. And it felt pretty smooth with the solve, and I'll be interested to see how the analysis breaks down. Let's start with the Queen's analysis then. All right, let's start here with the Queen's analysis. Unfortunately, it does look like my video did kind of bug when it was recording it, so it's gonna be low quality today. I apologize for that. But either way, let's get started here. So first thing I'm noticing here, um, this one is a very well crafted puzzle. There's no like shapes that you can really make great deductions from right away. The only thing I can see right now is this T shape. Whenever you have a T shape like this, you can cross out. Can I make this thinner? I forget how. There we go. Yes. So whenever you have a T shape like this, you can always cross out the one that is right above the T as if you're making it a lowercase t. Um, but other than that, there's nothing that you can cross out here. So what I spent about a couple seconds here doing is just looking at the rows. There's so many different shapes in this cluster here. There is no way that there can be enough queens in this section that it wouldn't cross out some of these other shapes like the green, blue, and purple. So what I'm doing here is I am counting the number of shapes that are taken up by the rows. So I am literally going through here. We've got one shape, we have two, we have three, and we have four. So these four all have to be within this little imaginary box of the four rows. And I'm not sure if I go right ahead and do that or not, but if we keep going on with this pattern, number 5 is the red. So red must then take up the 5th row. This is necessary. And what this leaves us with is a constant pattern here. And I might have actually been very suboptimal in marking this because I probably didn't notice it right away. But now, gray has to be here. So then it's stuck within that row. Green, only one spot left. So once again, we're just eliminating row by row where these have to go. Blue has to be here. And then this one, if you look at it a little closer, we can make a deduction, although it's more so for the last one, because we have a queen here, we have a queen here. Well, that's going to cross out these, and it's going to cross out these two. So we're going to have a queen here. I did not place it in this order. However, I hope you can see kind of the logic that goes on in that string of moves. So here I'm just searching. I think I actually noticed, yeah, I noticed the 5 here before I noticed the 4. And I was just looking for anything here. But this is how you get started on these kinds of puzzles where there's no tiny shapes that you can eliminate. You just gotta try and figure out where you can make these large deductions. And here I do actually get to this section that I didn't think I got to. My short-term memory is failing me right now. And then now we reach a new stage of the puzzle. We've gotten through all of the opening maneuvers we can do here. So now we need to start looking for new patterns. And what I did is I went straight ahead and I started looking at the columns with the same kind of pattern because it's still so many small shapes. We're never going to be able to do anything with this orange section until the end. That's just how this is going to be. So my eyes are going to pivot here to the gray and the pink sections because this is same kind of thing we did with the rows. There has to be queens within these two columns. And so we can eliminate these squares and this orange one, but that doesn't matter for now. And then we're left with a little line here for the yellow section. And if you are a longer time or longer term viewer of mine, you'll know we love lines here. And that's because if you take a 1x2 line that goes, it can also be vertical, it can be like this. But these are incredible. They make your life so much easier when you're solving, and I just call them dominoes. And it's because you can eliminate all of the squares that are adjacent to it and all of the ones in line with it. So, like, it doesn't matter how big the puzzle is, you'll always be able to do that. And it can usually lead to a lot of very important deductions. And what you'll see here is I'll cross out these 3 here, and then I actually end up getting tripped up by a bug, which is unfortunate. I don't know if this happens to other people as well. I have been in contact with a couple of LinkedIn developers trying to figure out the issue, but it might just be something that happens to me. I don't know. Let me know if you encounter that bug where it starts placing things that you're not actually placing, and then I get completely flustered and I can't remember where I was. But we get back. Um, Next thing here, this blue section. It's also a line, but it's not a domino. What this means is we can still end up crossing out everything else in line with it. because there has to be a queen in that row. So we can go ahead and deduce that pink must have a queen up there. And then this kind of leads to a little tiny chain reaction. We also figure out gray. And now here's an important deduction that I don't think many people know about, but this one comes when you have two squares that are connected diagonally, but they aren't touching. So what you can do when you have this kind of pattern is cross out the ones that are adjacent to both of them, and then go one in either direction from that point. And this, it might not be the most intuitive at first, but let's think it through. If there were a queen here, then there couldn't be one here or here. And then that can go for all of the outside ones as well. So when I notice this shape right here with the two diagonally touching squares, I'm immediately looking to cross out all of these squares in my mind. Just the two, they're not triangles. I always think of them as triangles. Just fill in the last side. That's how my brain works. I don't know. And I don't even have to cross this out to fill in the queen there. And then the rest is just oh, I did fill it in. I'm a liar. Whatever. And then rest of it, pretty standard solve. One quick note here. The reason I'm able to put a queen here in the brown section right here is because there is only one square left in the row when I get to it. Um, Also, this blue section would cross these out. Um, but yeah, that's the Queen's puzzle for today. I definitely could have done a little better with just, not getting set back by the bug. Maybe not caring as much about placing the X's. That is something I need to work on in general, just placing less X's. Um, and I think soon I'll transition to not using auto place X's, even though I am very fond of it and it just makes life so much easier, just because I want to get the flawless next to all of my scores. So let's move on to Tango now. All right, time to analyze Tango. So, as I said earlier, this game only came out 2 days ago, so everyone's kind of new to it. Um, but hopefully, by analyzing the board, we can try and find patterns, and these patterns will hopefully be able to let us get much faster solves in the future. So, let's look at this puzzle. The most important thing that I have found with these puzzles is being able to make deductions without looking at these shapes. Uh, if there weren't these shapes, this would be a old puzzle variant called Binaro, where it's the same baseline rules. However, these shapes aren't here. So you have to figure out everything from just the starting blocks. And this is what I've been training on, give or take, um, just to build at least some pattern recognition and get better. So there are a couple of important kinds of shapes. I'm just going to use yellow and blue when I'm doing suns and moons. Um, there is an important shape here. When you see two of any shape in a row, you can immediately go ahead and make the two next to it, like on either side, the opposite kind. And that's just one of the fundamental rules of this puzzle is you can't have more than two in a row of a type. So we see that going on a couple times here. You got it here, and then you've got it going on here as well. it kind of makes that triangle shape that my queen's brain is seeing. Um, and so that's one of the first things I'm seeing here. And I'm thinking that's going to be very important in a lot of tango puzzles moving forward. And then the other main thing that I think is very important here is looking at the big picture of the rows and columns. So there's actually two rows and columns between them here that we can solve immediately. And that's because there's three of one color in these rows and columns. If we look at this fourth row here, you've got these three moons. And so we know because of the rules of the game that there must be the same number of suns and moons in each row and column. So if it's a 6 by 6 grid like this is, 3 is half of it. So there has to be suns in these two locations. Dang, that is a light yellow. It's kind of hard to see that. Oh well. So that's what I go ahead and do right away. I think I just ignore everything else. Oh, okay, I get distracted. So that's one thing that I think I can work on already is just doing the baseline things before I do anything else. And I do think there's some kind of just adjustment that needs to be made when looking at these puzzles. It's kind of different from Queens, because Queens you get like shapes and you can figure it out from there. You kind of have to look at the whole board at once here for Tango, which can be a little awkward. But um, the final kind of deduction that we really have here that was present in this puzzle is with this kind of shape, where you have two of the same uh, shape, and then there's one space in between. And the reason we know this can't be a moon is because you can't have three in a row of any shape. So, this has to be a sun. And with tango puzzles, it seems like this just really causes a chain reaction every time. And every move is going to have some sort of implication because this causes the other rule we saw here. Two in a row. We have to fill around it. And then suddenly, okay, we have three of those. Let's fill in a moon there. Um, I never did get to filling this in. Sun, sun. And then when you get stuck in these puzzles, there's no more logical deductions, although there is here. Then you start to use these symbols here, these nice symbols, the equals and the x's. And I think it's important to take note of where they are as you're starting the puzzle so that you know generally when you're going to be running into them. Um, but yeah, every time you fill in one side of it, it's basically a freebie. They're giving you the next one. And in the case of this puzzle, it just kind of solves the rest of the puzzle. This makes it the same. This was also an equal sign, although I kind of botched it up with the circle. And then you just kind of get into a flow. I'm still working on getting my board vision right, figuring out um, where I need to be looking at any given time. But if you just start looking at the shapes, at the board as a whole, I think that's really what this boils down to. And it's what'll cause us to be able to solve these faster and faster over time is just pattern recognition, which that also applies to queens as well. Although I don't know, it's hard to say if pattern recognition helps more in tango or queens. I feel like queens, it's slightly more important. However, it definitely helps when you're doing tango. Um, so I guess I'll just let the rest of this play out. I just kind of got distracted and went through and solved it again. Um, that's basically the only way we can really practice with these symbols as of right now, though, because there's no other place to practice with these symbols. And if you want to try out a binary puzzle, go for it. Um, I'll put a link in the description, a place you can practice binary. Um, but it really does hinge on just doing deductions based on the shapes. You don't get any information with the symbols. And with that, I think I will call it for the video. It's been a much longer analysis than any previous one, although that's probably due to the fact that I'm tired and also we covered two different games. I am considering making a second separate channel for Tango solves. So let me know down in the comments below if you would like to see it on a different um, channel or if I should keep them on the same channel here. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.